Did you know Noctua make a desk fan? Well, they do, and it's really, really good. Let's take a look. Austrian cooling company Noctua is pretty renowned for making amazing fans, and also CPU coolers like this Noctua NV-FS1 right here, fully passive beast. I mean, look at the size of that. But what they're not really renowned for is taking their fan technology for gaming PCs and putting it in front of human beings. Yep, that's what they've done, and, it's actually a surprisingly good mix. Its latest product isn't intended to keep your PC cool, it's intended to keep you cool. And it's this, the Noctua NV-FS1. So it's made up of a few key parts. First, a Noctua NF-A12 by 25 Chromax black fan, which is the go-to Noctua 120mm fan in a more stealthy black colorway. It's also one of the best fans you can buy on the market, and that's what you'll find inside the NF-FS1. Then second, the fan mount, made to measure black metal frame and supporting both 120mm and 140mm fans. That's square fans like this, and not round fans like the ones you'd find with one of Noctua's CPU coolers. As we'll get to when we talk about the construction of this fan, it's really made for 120mm fans, and you have to lose, well, at least one bit. That's kind of important if you want to put a 140 on here, but we'll get to that. So third is the airflow amplifier. That's this big kind of weird looking bit on the front. This uses helix energy recovery, progressive flow acceleration, and Venturi effect volume enhancement to, put it plainly, blow air more directly at you. Fourth, the fan grill, which is fairly self-explanatory. It just stops you chopping your fingers off. Although actually, as I found out, you kind of can put your finger right in there and maybe chop them off. So, be a bit careful. Lastly, the fan controller, which is quite an important bit because this gizmo basically controls the fan's speed and also allows you to turn it off. Otherwise, it just runs through a PWM header. And if you connect it to the final part of this whole puzzle, the power supply, it would just run indefinitely and be a massive nightmare to turn off. So, glad they've included this. There's also a couple of extra mounting options with this fan, including some wall plugs if you want to, drill this into a wall and keep it there forever. I guess it's quite nice to have the option, and Noctua's thrown in the wall plugs for you if you want to do it. You can buy each part separately instead of buying it the whole kit, which means you could use your own fan, which is pretty good actually, because a lot of Noctua's NF12 by 25 fans come with this little rubber grommet that kind of goes out and around. That's also what's included on the fan, and that's the way you kind of want to mount it in there. If you want to use a 140mm fan, you do have to lose the airflow amplifier. They don't make that for 140 size. It probably would still work to some extent, but it might look a bit weird, and I haven't tried it, so, on your own head. Though, you also probably want to get a Chromax black fan, because this, inside this, might look a bit rubbish, but again, each to their own. The good news is there is a grill. So this bit here, there is a grill available for 140mm fans. This is the 120 size grill, but the frame itself supports 120 or 140. So you just put the 140 grill into these other screw holes and you expand the frame out underneath. So taking a look underneath, it's once you flip the fan mount over is actually when you get an idea of how flexible it is. So you can mount multiple fan sizes, as I mentioned, or you could attach this to something else with zip ties or screws, and there are also magnets mounted into the frame to keep it stuck in place on metal. As somebody with a metal desk, that works great to keep it from moving around if I adjust it, or if my cats tried to push it over, which they do all the time. As I mentioned, the fan's controlled by this little controller, which is just a tiny little dial. It has two lights. The orange one kind of glows brighter once you have it on full power and then turns off once you turn it off. The green one is changed by this little button here, and when you press the little button, it turns the green one on and off, and I don't know what else the button does apart from turn the LED off. It's got to do something. I bought my last desk fan from a market in Korea, and while it's done a decent job so far, it's made of mostly cheap plastic. While parts of the FS1 are plastic, like the airflow amplifier and the fan itself, the frame itself is solid metal. As a result, this thing weighs a ton, but, in that kind of good quality way. So how good actually is this fan at being a fan? Well, unsurprisingly, it's awesome. It's quiet, first and foremost, which is more than I can say about most desk fans I've owned, but importantly, it keeps me cool. It's quite how do I say this? It kind of produces soft air it doesn't really like hit your microphone. If you're wearing a gaming headset with a microphone, you don't really pick up the noise from the fan. Altogether, it's great to have a fan that just doesn't mess with my mic while I'm playing games online. It also really fits in with my desk aesthetic, which admittedly is a sort of dark industrial look like many gaming PC setups today, but it does look really good alongside everything. The only downside has to be the price. I mentioned my previous desk fan, which cost me under £5, I think. I mean, it was probably barely even that. And the Noctua NV-FS1 cost £86 or $100. So yeah, it's kind of got to be good to justify that. So the NV-FS1, it's one of life's little luxuries. It's a gorgeous fan, an interesting move for Noctua, and not just a gimmick. Though like all good things, it comes with a cost. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Jacob. I'll have more content on the channel like this soon. Until then, I'll see you around.